Hey, how's it going everyone? I'm here with the very first of hopefully a long line of Naruto S.H.Figuarts review videos. So kind of as a run-up to the release of a brand new figures which are going up for pre-order in about a week's time here in Japan. That is for Naruto, Sakura and Sasuke. Brand new body type for the Team 7 figures. Basically a kick-off to the new line for the Naruto Figuarts line. Something that's been, I guess, hyped up about. Anticipated by a lot of fans. A lot of people have been asking for a revival of this line, which just kind of died out a few years ago, which is a real shame because they had some really cool figures, so it's definitely nice that we're getting it back. I thought a good place to start off the reviews would be with the Best Selection Naruto. Now back in, I think it was early 2020, they came out with the Best Selections line. There was Naruto, Ultraman, Kamen Rider, Doraemon, Gundam as well. So it's kind of like a one figure from a couple of their main lines. I believe it might have been part of the Tokyo Olympic 2020 Cool Japan theme that they're going for, because originally Olympics was going to have a heavy anime pop culture theme, which kind of got scrapped along with a lot of other stuff, I guess due to Corona and so forth, which is a shame. It would have been cool to see part of that Olympic area. Anyway, so yeah, let's just jump straight into this one here. Now this Naruto figure is essentially a budget re-release of the very first figure. I think they came out in, I believe it was 2014, so then this was 2020, so yeah, about 6 years later. So it's not, well, even now it's about 2 years old, or a year and a half from this actual release, but the actual figure itself pretty old. So as you can tell, when we get it open, it's not the best figure. They haven't really aged too well in some areas, but they are still pretty cool, and we'll kind of go over that in the pros and cons section. For the actual box itself, there's no clear window on it. It's just a few sample images on the back of the couple of accessories it does have, and then on the front, just the pose and the Tamashii quality Nations seal sticker there, and then the Studio Parrot one, since it is Naruto. But I have noticed, actually, they did a re-release of this, I believe it might have been this end of 2021, and it seems for overseas release, they have a packaging which is more in line with the recent S.H.Figuarts figures, and they have a clear plastic window, and I think it says Best Selections across it. I believe I saw on the Tamashii Nations France Instagram page. In Japan they still just got a straight cardboard box, so if you do see these figures and it has a different packaging, it's probably just a regional difference. But yeah, anyway, let's jump in and check out his accessories. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, this is kind of a budget release of the, I believe it was the very first Naruto figure. The main difference is that we only have 3 additional hands and the 1 extra expression. I believe the original one had 4 or 3 faces and about 5 or 6 different hands. So that is where they mainly reduced what he comes with. I don't actually have the original, unfortunately, but if you jump on the Tamashii website, you can check out a list of accessories that he does come with there. But he does come with the Rasengan effect, which looks really cool. It's got a nice swirl, and the, I guess the key parts are flicking off to the side of that to give it a nice swirl pattern. And he also does come with 2 kunai, which is pretty cool. Other than that, he is pretty basic, so let's just pop him out and take a look at his overall finish before jumping into articulation. Okay, here we go. We've got him out of his packaging now, and I have attached his 2 kunai to his hands as well, since he doesn't come with actual closed fist hands. He does only have these ones which are open, designed to hold the items. So I figured I'd slot them in just for a better look, as we do have him swinging around here. Now his overall finish, I think, looks pretty nice. He does have some detailing on his Konoha logo on his jacket, and then the zip down the centre is actually really nice. It does have some actual proper definition. It's got the nice metallic paint, so it comes through really well. The other line work on his pants down here, from where his, I think it was the kunai case straps on, was really nice. And then on the back here, underneath his bandana, we do have his nice red Uzumaki logo, which looks really good. Though coming down to his feet, I think that's one of the big things which really stuck out to me with these earlier Naruto figures, was the feet. They don't look nice. It's pretty messy. I mean, they are painted, but it's a bit runny. It just doesn't look that good. And then again, with the facing, some nice details, but some of the lines are a bit thick. It's just kind of lacks that finesse, and I think that is more just to do with the age of these figures. I mean, originally I think it was like, what, 2013, 2014 that came out. I mean, that is a fair while ago. Tamashii have really upped their game in recent years, so that's why I'm super excited for the new version of Naruto, which I believe is coming out in May this year, so amped for him. But in the meantime, I think this is still a really cool figure, and let's jump into the articulation now to see how that holds up for an old body. Starting with his head, he has a nice swivel going on with his actual head, some tilting action, not too much. It's pretty limited. You can kind of go back a little bit, but his hair will stop and his chin will kind of stop going forward as well a little bit. As you can see, if I kind of push that, it is forcing the head off slightly. I believe the neck joint will move as well independently. Yeah, there we go. So it's a bit hard to get, but the neck will move, so you can kind of move those in tandem to get some nice range going on. Down for his shoulders now, he does kind of have those butterfly joints which come around, and due to the curve there, his arms do come out pretty far forward. So that is quite nice, and again the joints feel really nice. You can kind of swivel up and around, and his, oh, don't poke an eye out, his actual elbow joint is pretty good too. And then his hands have a nice range of articulation on there as well. I feel like his hands look really big in comparison to his other parts of his body. So hopefully the new ones have a bit better proportions going on there. Moving down to the chest. Yeah, no real range there, just a couple of mil front and back. So that is definitely a shame. It would be nice to have more articulation in that center region. He does swivel slightly on his hip and torso area, and again not too much because it is a semicircle, so it does kind of get stuck. Here's his bag on the back here, which does pop off, so if you do want to get that out of the way for a unique pose, you can do that if you want. The legs itself, he has a decent range there for the splits, which is quite nice, because generally the 1.0 style bodies are often quite limited, but you can get out quite far, which is nice. But it is one solid part, so you don't have any of those kind of finite movement where on the newer figures you can kind of turn one part individually of the other to give you a nicer, cleaner look. The knee though, yeah, overall that's pretty nice. Not the prettiest joint though, but you do have a pretty decent range of articulation. And same for the foot as well. It does have a nice ball joint in there, so you can go forward and back. A little bit of a swivel around, not too much tilt though. Slight tilt, but not much. His toes will articulate though, so you do have some movement there. Again, overall, not too bad. To switch his face off, it just slots down or slots in underneath his headband, so if you pull that out, you can then slot his other additional face in, which I think actually looks a lot nicer. It has some bit more crisp, clean lines for the fox markings there, and his mouth looks pretty good. Whereas I think the open mouth one here, the red around his lips is a little bit too much, and it just, I don't know, for me it just looks slightly off. So yeah, hopefully the new ones will be a lot more cleaner. To switch hands on these figures, I recommend just getting a nice grip on the actual arm, and then grab the hand, give it a swivel to make sure it is moving, and then have the joint straight, and then pull it off in a straight line. Yeah. If you kind of pull it on a weird angle or anything like that, that's when you risk breaking these joints. It's not super easy to break joints on these figures, but if you put pressure in the wrong direction, they definitely will snap. Because if you can see the joint here, it's made up of two parts, and so you do have a weaker side there. So again, when you put them on, line it up straight and just push it on in a straight direction. If you have anything that is too tight or stiff, you can just warm these up in some hot water. As long as it's not boiling, it should be fine. Loosen the plastic slightly, then they will pop on and off easier. But this hand that we've just put on, if we have a look there, you can see that there is a peg marking. Now that is to connect to his Rasengan effect, which just slots on like so. I think they might be lined up for finger hole markings. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, there we go. Now he has his Rasengan effect, which looks really nice. It's a deep dark blue with a bit more of a whiter center there. So you do get some nice contrast in the effect, which is pretty cool. And yeah, now we can just pose his arm behind him, and it looks like he's coming in for an attack. And I think, yeah, it works really well. So jumping into the pros and cons for the Best Selections Naruto S.H.Figuarts figure, the main pro is obviously this Rasengan effect. Even after all this time, it still stands up. It's beautifully sculpted. It has that nice dynamic motion in it, which is fantastic. I also really love the kunai, his bandana moves as well. I believe this base face still holds up really well. I mean, the overall head sculpting looks nice, his bandana, everything like that is really cool. Jumping into the cons though, his old school articulation isn't the best. The knee joints are pretty ugly. Those feet, they're pretty heinous. And another issue I have come into is since his feet are kind of small, like his legs are pretty small compared to his body. If you put him into a more dynamic pose like this, he does fall over pretty easily. So I have actually put a little bit of blue tack underneath his front foot here to keep him up while he does spin around. Because I tried to do this, pros and cons, about 3 or 4 times and he kept falling over. Another thing which I should say is pretty cool though is his pouch on the back there. Looks really nice, and his zip too. I think overall for a cheap figure, I think he's around 3,500 yen, 3,000 yen retail. I actually picked this guy for like 1,200 yen. Brand new. It's just someone had tried to open it and they cut the box. So he had a really nice discounted price, and that's why I picked him up. And I would say that's where I'd recommend this figure, especially the Best Selections. If you're new to the Naruto line, you're going to be picking up the new figures. They're actually pretty reasonably priced. But one of the things with Naruto is his special attacks, his Kagebunshin. He makes multiple clones, so for some of those cool poses where you have a base Naruto with maybe 2 or 3 behind, helping him form his Rasengan attack, it is cool to get some extra figures. And sometimes for those ones you don't need amazingly dynamic poses, so the older figure here can be a good suitable replacement for those clones. Instead of paying the 5,000, 4,000 yen for the brand new version, you can try and pick up either some second hand or maybe some damaged box ones, or anyway the base Best Selections is still pretty cheap anyway, so you can pick up maybe 2 or 3 to have in the background as his clones. I think that's where this figure is going to be shining going forward, especially since he did actually get a re-release, I believe, at the end of 2021, so he isn't too hard to get. And his effects of the kunai are pretty cool as well, so you can always use those with other characters if they don't have any. So yeah, I mean, overall, he's old, outdated, but he's still a cool figure, and if you can get cheap, definitely worth picking up. But yeah, anyway, let me know what you think about the older Naruto figures. Which one is your favourite? I don't have all of them. Sadly, I am missing Madara, who's one that I'd really like to get still. But I do have Kakashi, Lee, the Sage Naruto, so we'll be doing some more reviews for those going forward as a bit of a run-up to the new figures dropping later this year. So if there's any specific ones you really want to see before the others, do let me know below, and I'll try and prioritize those ones best I can. Oh, P.S. I forgot to say, if you watch my channel and into the Dragon Ball figures, you already know of rockchala.com, which is a fan site with all the information for every release, images, 360 images, and news and more. I'm actually in the process of rebuilding the website, and along with that update, there will be a brand new Naruto S.H.Figuarts section as well, where I hope to have images, 360 images, and general news and info for all the new figures. So you can be sure to check out that site down below. Oh, there it goes again. Yeah, if you check that out via the link below, hopefully I'll have the Naruto stuff up by the end of Jan or early Feb, so keep an eye out for that. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and until next time, cheers!